Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Miss Sinclair. It is Friday, March 19th. It's the last day of third marking period. We have 9 more school days until spring break, so we have 9 more days of algebra. And then we're going to move on after spring break and talk about some statistics. Our assignment for today is we're going to work through the problem set together. Whoops. We started this lesson yesterday, so we're just going to go through and finish this up. All right, what is the purpose of a highlighter? Who can tell me? Why are we doing this? Alexis. To find the important information. What other reason? What else do we find in there? We find the question. Sometimes you guys know the information, but you don't answer the correct question. You think you know what question it is, and then you don't really answer the question they asked. So this is to help us be better readers and to analyze information when we read. So I'm going to read this. You're going to tell me what you think we need to highlight here about important facts. A radio station plays 12 songs each hour. They never stop for commercials, news, weather, or traffic reports. Where is the fact? What's the data? 12 songs each hour. What does the word each tell you? It's 1. Now there's no table for this problem, so I'm going to create one down here at the bottom of the page. And I'm going to put it on this side because there's also no table for this problem. We're going to do that down here also. So on this page, we're going to create our own little data table. So what 2 things are we comparing? If I look at what we highlighted. Olivia. Hours and songs. So I'm going to put hours here and songs here. And what's our original ratio? What's the first setup they tell us, Brock?
12 every hour, 12 songs every hour.
1 hour, 12 songs, right? So how do I go from 1 up to 12? Times 12. So I'm going to put 12s in the middle because remember, we might multiply. If we go backwards, we might divide, but that's the number we're going to mess around with. Okay. What expression would describe how many songs are played by the radio in H hours? What if this is an H? We don't know the number. 1 times 12 is 12. What do I write over here, Felicity? 12H. And I like what Felicity remembered. She remembered that the number goes first and the letter goes second. So question number 1 is 12H. How many songs will be played in an entire day? 24 hours. So what if this is a 24? How do I find this number? Blake, what do I do to find that number? Okay, so here we go. Ready? 24 times 12. They can play 288 songs. So here we go, 288 songs. Make sure you label that. It's not 288 commercials. 288 songs. How long does it take for the radio station to play 60 consecutive songs? So my last part of the table is now they tell me how many songs. 60. So now instead of multiplying, I'm going the opposite direction. So what do I do to find that answer? Catalin. 60 divided by 12 would take 5 hours to play 60 songs. Does that make sense? So if you get questions like this and there's no table, just make one up because it makes it really clear. I mean, if you automatically get what you're doing, you don't have to make one up, but it always helps to double check the way you're thinking is, does it look like that if I put it in a table? Here's the next one. I'm going to read. You're going to tell me what we're going to highlight here. You ready? A ski area has a high-speed lift that can move 2,400 skiers to the top of the mountain each hour. Lene, what do you think I should do about this one? 2,400 skiers each hour, and again, each meaning in 1 hour, right? So I'm going to make a little table down here. Hours and skiers. Oops, there it is. And they said in 1 hour I can move how many people, Katie Hall? Yep. So to go from 1 up to 2,400, we're going to multiply by what? 2,400. So that's the middle number this time. So we got our table set up. Now we can use this visual to help us figure out some answers. How many skiers can be lifted in H hours? So hours is on this side, so I'm going to put an H there. Who can tell me what I'm going to write over here? Felicity. And again, she gets it. Number first, letter second, no time sign in between. This is going to be 2,400H is my answer for 2A. How many skiers can be moved in 14 hours? So the 14 goes on this side. And the question is, how do I find that number, Dylan? Exactly right. So here we go. And the last hour when I did this, I got some crazy number that didn't make any sense. So I had to do it a second time. So if you ever get a number that just looks crazy to you, just do it twice, just to check. 33,600 skiers. I got like 339,000 or something. That was too much. So this is 33,600 skiers. How long will it take to move 3,600 skiers? So this is on the skier side now. 3,600 skiers. I'm going the opposite direction. What will I do to find this answer? Because I'm going from a big number to the smaller number. Brock?
You divide 3,600 by 2,400.
1.5. So 1.5 hours to move more than 3,000 people. That's kind of crazy. Now, luckily for number 3, they give us a table. And then for 4, they give us a table. And then for 5, they don't. So, Polly writes, I always want to say Polly want a cracker. You ever hear that saying?
Yeah.
Polly writes a magazine column called Crackers. Not really. She earns $35 per hour. Create a table of values that shows the relationship between the hours that she works and the money that she makes. So I'm going to say hours on this side, and I'm going to say money on this side. And what's the first ratio that goes in my table? What's the base ratio that we're going to use? Camden. 1 hour, $35. And how do I go from 1 all the way up to $35? I'm going to multiply by $35, right? Make sure you put the decimals in to make it look like money, because all of our answers have to be in money. So you don't want it to look like 35 crackers. So we got our table set up. Here's our first question. Blake, this one's for you. If you know how many hours Polly works, can you determine how much money she earned? If I put some variable h in there, and h could be any number, how do I write h times $35? Perfect. Exactly right, Blake. Thanks. So down here, we're going to write $35 times h. Next question. Use your expression to determine how much Polly earned after working 3.5 hours. Now I'm using a calculator, so I'm not going to want to use a fraction. So how many hours, what would I put in there for a decimal? Brock?
3.50.
Just 3.5. Because that's not the money part, that's the hours. So 3.5 hours times $35, right? 3.5 times $35. Okay, now watch this. That's what you get on the calculator. That does not look like money. What do we have to do, Felicity? Add on a zero, and there's my dollar sign, and she made $122.50 in 3.5 hours. That's not bad. $35 an hour is pretty good, actually. Because people that work at McDonald's only make like $10 an hour. So this is like 3.5 times as much. Woo, that's not a bad job. Where does she work again? Oh, at a magazine. Okay. If you know how much money she earned, can you tell how long she worked? So if this is an M for money, how do I find out what belongs over here? Now I move in the opposite direction, right? So what would I do there, Katie Hall? That's if we move this way. It's multiply, right? 1 times 35, h times 35, 3.5 times 35. I move in the opposite direction. So I'm not going to multiply. I'm going to do what? I'm going to divide. Put that down, Liam. So what am I going to divide? How does that work? Which number? Right. Look at all the patterns. This number divide by this number. This number divide by that. So it's M divided by $35. And down here you can write it as a fraction. Because remember, in division, you have to get them in the right order, right? It does matter which one comes first. And the very last question, use your expression to determine how long did Polly work as she earned $52.50. So here's Polly, and here's her money. And I have to go backwards to find that number. How do I do that, Brock?
52.50 divided by 35.
Exactly. $52.50 divide by $35. 1.5. She would have to work 1.5 hours. Or 1.5 hours. You can write it either way. But remember, when you're using a calculator, you want to use decimals, not fractions. Make sense? Okay, we got 2 more, and then we're done for today. Then we're done for third marking period. You're almost 7th graders. What? Holy smokes. It's gone by quick. All right, here we go. Mitchell, he's got a newspaper route. He delivers papers after school for which he earns 9 cents per paper. What do I highlight? Camden.
9 cents per paper.
And if it says per paper, how many papers is that? Only 1. Okay? So I'm going to write papers on this side and money on this side. And I'm going to say if he delivers 1 paper, he gets 9 cents. Now remember what 9 cents looks like as a decimal. You can't write 9, you can't write 0.9. You've got to make sure you have exactly the right decimals in there. Okay, so create a table that shows blah, blah, blah. So here we go. If you know how many papers he delivered, can you tell how much money he earned? So if this is P, and I say he delivered P papers, what do I do to get this number, to find out how much money he earned? Aiden.
0.09.
Yep. Felicity, he stole your answer. 0.09 p. Number first, variable second. And I always put those in the middle so I remember if I go this way, I multiply. If I go this way, I divide, but I got to make sure I divide by the right number. Use your expression to determine how much he earned if she did 300 papers. So if this is a 300, how much money would he get? How do I find that out, Blake? I'm going this way. 300 times that number, okay? Yep. So let's check it out. 300 times 9 cents. $27. That's not bad, $27. Because 3 times 9 is 27, so that makes sense, right? Okay, so what about this one? If you know how much money he earned, can you figure out how many papers? So if I say he earned M money, how could I find that answer? Now I'm going backwards on there. Camden? You betcha. M divided by 9 cents. All right, here we have one more. What if he earned $58.50 last week? So in the money column, we're going to put $58.50. Can we figure out how many newspapers that would be? How would I find that out, Liam?
58.50
That's right, $58.50 divided by 9 cents. 650 papers. Wonder how long it would take to deliver 650 papers. When my brother was little, he was a paper guy. He would ride his bike and do it and throw them at the houses from his bicycle. But now they don't do that anymore, do they?
No.
Now it's a person in a car and they put them in your mailbox or something. Yes?
In my mom's neighborhood, because she lives in that community,
Right?
which is like really small. In my mom's neighborhood, they just give the mail guy a jumpsuit and just mail across it and make him walk down the, like, he walks down the neighborhood.
Does he?
Yeah, he just walks down the neighborhood and
Throws them at you.
Yeah,
Right.
no, like if you're
Right.
outside his house, he'll just throw them at you.
Oh, and like if
Awesome.
you're in the house, he just throws it through the window.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
no, yeah, he'll throw it at your window or throw it at you.
Okay. Let's do this last one before we keep talking about other stories because I've got this video running. So we'll catch you right at the end. So here's number 5, no table. I'm going to have us make one. Randy is an art dealer who sells reproductions of famous paintings. Copies of the Mona Lisa sell for $475. What should I highlight, Catalin? For what? Yep, Mona Lisa. So I'm going to have paintings and money, right? So here's my table. Here's the paintings, however many I sell, and here's the money. And I know if I sell one, I get $475, right? So we got that set up. We're going to put our $475 in the middle. And I think we're ready to start answering these last 2 questions. Last year, Randy sold $9,975 worth of pictures. How many did he sell? So the money is going to go on this side. And I've got to figure out what this number is going to be. How do I find that? Felicity. Exactly right. We're going to do division, and that's 21 paintings. This last question is my favorite one of all. because it's got this little weird twist to it, okay? So I always like it when there's a little twist. Makes it more interesting. Here we go. If Randy wants to increase his sales to at least $15,000 this year, how many copies will he need to sell without changing the price? What should I highlight there? Felicity. Okay, pretty close. There's something weird about this one. Aiden.
Without changing the price per printing.
Okay, so we know the price is going to be $4.75. Felicity, what did you notice?
At least.
That's the trick. At least 15,000. So at least means what? He needs to make exactly 15,000? Liam, what does it mean?
He needs to make 15,000.
15,000 or more. Exactly right. So I'm going to put the 15,000 in the money part. And we're going this direction, so we already know we're going to divide, right? But look what happens when we do this one. There's my $15,000, right? I'm going to divide by $475. Ta-da!
Oh my lord!
Now, can he sell part of a painting? No. So how are we going to figure out the answer to this one? Because we can't use that number. What's your thought? Liam, what do you think?
Maybe, I forgot the word, but I know what to do with it. You know where you like rounding.
Rounding? Okay. Are we going to round up or down?
Down.
Oh, well, that's a question. Down or up? Because that's the trick. Why are we going to round up? Lene.
Because the number, like, so it's 31.5. If it's 5 or up, raise it up. And it's the number next to that.
Normally, I would say you're absolutely right. But in this case, it's even different than that. Because what if it was 31.1? We still have to round up. Why? That's the trick. Why would we still round up no matter what number came next? Dylan? Exactly right. So let's try that theory. If we round down to 31, what happens? 31 paintings times $475. He's a little bit short. Now, if we round to 32, watch what happens. 15,000 or more, right? At least. But the question said at least. So there's the 32. Make sense? Okay, you guys are wonderful. Here's what we're going to do now. For those of you that are home, please check all your grades to make sure that you have everything where you want it to be for third marking period. We're going to recycle this so you can get rid of this. Have a wonderful day.